One of the main things to get through your head in terms of equity realization is mainly thinking about what type of hands they bet often. So usually they're betting too much with draws and top pair type holdings. And so, for example, when we have something like Jack 10 offsuit, it's going to be dominated by something like Ace Jack offsuit a lot, which is why hands that tend to unblock the type of hands that bet tend to over realize in reality. For example, 5 deuce suited, 4 deuce suited, because they don't tend to have those hands when they open them, right? So they tend to have a lot of high card holdings, which tend to be dominated when we do call those Jack 10 offsuit type holdings. I know this is quite a abstract concept to think about, but just imagine when you're in their shoes, what type of hands you triple barrel when you face triple barrels, and then that will generally give you an idea of what types of hands under realized and over realized equity. Obviously, if we get into a spot where it's close to zero EV to call or to fold, when we have a hand like Jack 10 offsuit, it's going to make it under realized equity. Hands around like pocket eights, pocket sevens, pocket sixes tend to be around neutral unless the ranges get super narrow and super strong, mainly because it's kind of obvious if you have a good hand or not. And then those low suited gapped hands tend to do quite well, and they tend to over realize mainly because they're not actually dominated by any portion of their range except for facing the button. But then when they open the button, they triple barrel, they tend to be over bluffing there anyways. So equity realization isn't as important of an issue, especially because we can actually exploit there a lot more often than in other nodes. For example, they will fold more when we river probe, when we donk bet on turns and rivers, when we raise. We generally just get to realize a lot more equity when we flat against the button anyways.